and present their solution. So our winning presenter today is Miss Angelina Pacheco. So Angelina Pacheco is currently a student of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus. She is pursuing a major in environmental and natural resource management, preparing to start a second major in disaster risk resilience for agriculture and the environment. Aside from her studies, she pursues wildlife and nature photography, showcasing the beauty of her home country, Trinidad and Tobago. She is also currently the Vice President of the Greener Future UE Society and is a member of the Caribbean Youth Network. Please put your hands together for Ms. Angelina Pacheco.
Hi everyone, my name is Angelina Pacheco. I'm currently a year one student at the St. Augustine campus of the University in the West Indies. One moment, please. Today my presentation is on coastal erosion and coastal management in Manzanilla, Trinidad and Tobago. Manzanilla is in trouble. In order to get the photo, I had to go to Manzanilla and, well, take the photo. I am only 21, and in comparison to the last time I would have gone to Manzanilla, it had been severely devastated and the coastline on the beaches was just a lot smaller. It saddened me. Trinidad's eastern coastline is prone to coastal erosion as a result of its easily erodible sediment type. There are factors which accelerate the erosion, such as rising sea levels, high wave energy from the Atlantic, inclement weather, deforestation and built development, and water management challenges. The cause of coastal erosion is lost homes and displaced persons, loss of tourism infrastructure and obstacles in developing further infrastructure, loss of coastal ecosystems, and this is also attributed to the large amounts of sargassum deposits on these beaches, increased flooding in coastal areas, and damaged roadways. As many persons from Trinidad would know, last year with the severe rains, many persons lost their homes and the roads in Manzanilla became impassable. Coastal erosion is a problem, and many people would have had a problem that I'm sure you'd have loved to throw a big rock at it. Unfortunately, Trinidad took that very literally, and almost at every location we suffer from coastal erosion, we throw rocks at it. In Clifton Hill, Mosquito Creek, and Mayaro, rocks. I wanted to propose a solution that did more than just temporarily or solve the problem. Developing an efficient solution must take into consideration factors such as cost and sustainability. Seawalls and even boardwalks have been used along the eastern coast. These methods are very expensive and they yield very little return. I wanted to propose a three-dimensional solution which aids in mitigating and eradicating the existing issue, rejuvenating coastal areas by rebuilding lost beaches, and generating income which will invest into local communities. My proposed solution employs a partnership between artificial oyster reefs and vetiver grass. Why oyster reefs? Oyster reefs are a natural method of protecting coastlines. The creation of an artificial oyster reef spanning high-risk locations along the eastern coast can act as a catalyst for coastal protection. Aside from reducing the rate of coastal erosion by dissipating wave energy, oyster reefs also intensify sedimentation, thus helping to rebuild the coast. They also act as a storm buffer and create habitat for sea life such as crabs. They act as a nursery for fish and other bivalves. Also importantly, they improve water quality as a mature oyster is capable of filtering up to 50 gallons of water a day. How oyster reefs can benefit the economy. Around 85% of the world's oyster population have been lost. This has led to greater demand. Man-made oyster reefs can double as oyster farms, making way for potential income generation and job creation for coastal communities, which is very important in areas as Manzanilla, as for many of its residents, it's situated very far from urban areas, making it difficult to find jobs. When the oyster reef is matured, it is likely to stimulate the increase in population of crabs and other shellfish, which can also be harvested, encouraging sustainable harvest practices. Unlike traditional seawalls, an oyster reef will grow both vertically and horizontally, this protecting greater portions of the coast with limited expenditure. Its vertical growth will also provide an advantage in protecting the coast with rising sea levels. Oyster reefs can be created from recycled materials. Discarded oyster shells can be collected from restaurants. Spat, which are baby oysters, attach itself to the shells of dead oysters in order to grow. Over time, new spat will develop along these matured oysters. Recycled wire and metal can be used to create cages for oyster shells. Anchoring these artificial reefs are very important. The following strategies can be used to anchor the reefs. Using a reef ball made from cement, sand, and crushed oyster shells, creating a wall which interchanges gabion baskets and oyster cages, or creating a living wall of oysters. Why vetiver grass? Vetiver grass can thrive in sandy soils. It can tolerate salinity and has roots that can reach up to 3 to 4 meters in depth in the span of a year. This allows for a rapid approach at stabilizing the existing shoreline, reducing its susceptibility to erosion. The implementation of this grass strengthens coastal soils in the short run, allowing time to reintroduce native species such as sea almond. The benefits of vetiver grass. Due to vetiver's swift growth rate, it will require maintenance. This means persons will need to be employed to landscape these areas. The excess grass can be composted to create fertilizer for local agriculture. Vetiver grass is an excellent investment into the restoration of soil health. Its roots have been shown to accumulate high levels of heavy metals, removing them from the soil, making it happen. Initially in this proposal, my only thoughts were, what would I do? Getting the opportunity to present meant I had to think of how can we make it happen, or how could it be possible? For the oyster reefs, we can partner with local fishermen to manage these reefs, teaching persons about sustainable practices and encouraging persons to learn more about the environment. We can trade with other Caribbean countries to import oyster shells and search for oyster shells and funding in exchange with restaurants or even hotels, so that they can purchase cheaper oysters when the reefs are matured. For the vetiver grass, we can partner with initiatives such as Flying Tree Environmental, which uses paragliding in the Matura area to reforest large areas. We can also partner with local communities to plant and landscape the vetiver grass. By partnering these methods of coastal conservation, the development of Trinidad's eastern coastline receives a much needed boost. Avenues for job creation are formed, the coastline is protected, habitat for marine life is created, all through a sustainable approach in the management of coastal erosion. Thank you very much, and are there any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. First of all, congratulations, yeah?
Thank you.
I mean, this is part of the behavior change as well, so it's very nourishing to actually see young people like yourself standing up and showing firsthand, basically, that and learning out these problems and putting solutions together. So, first of all, congratulations, yeah? I think it's super interesting, yeah, what you mentioned about oyster reefs, yeah. I think in the Caribbean, everybody's very focused on talking about coral. I mean, this is a fantastic solution that we have been adopting in the North Sea when we do offshore wind farms. For the base to protect these offshore wind farms, we're actually building oyster farms, yeah? And that we're helping in the north of France, Belgium and the Netherlands. There's a big business behind these oyster farms, yeah? So I think it's fantastic that you bring this up. I think it can be incorporated in any type of coastal protection scheme as well. And yeah, I mean, very encouraging. Thanks for bringing this up, yeah? Congratulations, yeah?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Congratulations, Angelina. I wanted to ask you, when you, I guess you were sharing your project with friends, with young people like you, what was their reaction? They were interested? They helped you to do more?
Well, I am, as mentioned before, I'm currently the vice president of UWI's Greener Future Club, and we actually discussed it at an online meeting. And they were very, very interested because for many of them, when we talk about reefs in the Caribbean, we've only ever heard about coral reefs. So for some people, especially younger persons, and we invite persons from high school, they haven't even heard of oyster reefs before. So everyone was definitely interested. And they do want to learn more, and they do support the idea of going forward with it. Thank you.
You were interested in the project before the contest arrived, or the contest?
Yes, I've actually been studying coastal erosion since high school. My high school geography teacher she did her final project on coastal erosion, and she started my love for the environment and studying geography as well. So learning from her on her final project, ever since I have studied coastal erosion and coastal management. Thank you.